Hello everyone! Thank you for joining me today on our examination of another one of Eorzea's most prominent races. Today we'll be covering the wild and proud history that is the ever-vigilant Miqo'te. Like the Hyur, the Makote weren't the first race to find its way to Eorzea. In fact, most of Eorzea's modern Makote are descendants of those migrated here during the 5th Umbral Era. This time in the land's history is most commonly known as the Era of Eternal Frost, or the Calamity of Ice, given how large parts of the ocean were frozen over and the world found itself covered in almost endless winter. In a desperate attempt to find game that could sustain their nomadic lifestyle, the precursor Miqo'te traveled over these bridges of ice made by the world's seas and found the land of Eorzea. As the 5th Umbral Age gave way to the 5th Astral Era, the Makote saw no reason to leave, as most of Eorzea has ever been a vibrant and bountiful land due to its high concentration of natural aether. As they settled into their new home, other races began to notice and make note of the Makote's fierce predatory way of life. As you all know, the Makote boast a rather wild appearance with their natural-born feline traits. These developments in their physiology have lent them to be more natural huntsmen and huntresses, allowing them to stalk and take down prey much more quickly and efficiently than most other races. This is why their choice of attire usually lends to greater freedom of movement and complements their natural agility over heavy armaments. However, it is also their exotic appearance and sometimes lack of concealing clothing that has made them the object of affection for more than a few other races within not only Eorzea, but the world over. An astute observer will notice that the Makote have never laid claim to the creation of or promotion of any major city-state or country. That is because the Makote themselves prefer their small clan-based lifestyle as opposed to that of creating an entire empire or kingdom. This is born from a strong sense of honor and tradition that has been passed down throughout multiple generations. And even those Makote living outside of their clan's hunting grounds usually still follow these traditions while mingling amongst other races in Eorzea city-states. This may not seem as impressive or bombastic as creating a country, but countries have risen and fallen whilst many clans of the Makote still persevere. That being said, while some Makote clans are somewhat xenophobic, they all learned and adopted the common tongue developed by the Hyur very quickly, as the need to trade and barter for rare goods with other races became a necessity during their settlement days. Despite this, they have not lost a communication method they refer to as hunt speak, which is a variety of different tongue clicks, whistles, and noises to effectively understand other hunters without disturbing the natural fauna. Of all the races in Eorzea, the Makote are the least populated. As mentioned before, the bulk of their races lives and mingles with their own clans and hunting groups. Though this ultimately begs the question as to why we would see so many of them leave said clans to join city-states and adventuring parties if they are so deeply rooted within their own heritage. Indeed, it is because of said clans and traditions that we see so many leave their families and travel the world. Sometimes it is the desire to hunt even greater prey, other times it is the curiosity that comes with seeing other races and cultures, but quite often a traveling Miqo'te is following tenets of their tradition, and we will discuss those soon. The Miqo'te are split into two distinct clans, Seekers of the Sun and Keepers of the Moon. We understand the reason for this being that the Seekers of the Sun primarily use hunting and gathering methods that involve working beneath the heat of daylight, whilst the Keepers of the Moon have adopted a much more nocturnal lifestyle and usually only live and or hunt under a moonlit sky. Due to this drastic difference in hours of operation, they have developed a physical trait unique to both clans. Their eyes will always betray their heritage. Seekers of the Sun possess vertically aligned pupils that helps to filter out sunlight more effectively, whilst a Keeper of the Moon will always have rounder pupils and a thicker iris to take in as much light as possible during the night. Other than this, they are almost completely indistinguishable from one another, aside from some hair and fur colors being unique to each clan. Although they may look the same at a distance, don't be fooled. These clans couldn't be more different. The Seekers of the Sun typically live in open regions where sunlight isn't obscured, such as the coastal regions of Lenosha, which houses Limsa, the Sogoli Desert, near Ul'dah, and plateaus of Garabanya, home to Alamigo. Just to name a few. Of the two clans, the Seekers of the Sun boast the most raw physical power. Their bodies have become highly adept to the arid climates they find themselves in, making them stronger, faster, and more resilient than their night-based cousins. Because of their athletic builds, many Seekers of the Sun can be seen climbing to high points and diving into deep waters with ease. This actually made them extremely popular sailors in the ports of Limsa. This also makes them superb physical combatants that excel in both melee and ranged skirmishes. Compared to the Hyur, these Miqo'te may seem incredibly consistent with how strong and agile they are from generation to generation. This has everything to do with how their clan works and, well, how it breeds. Before we get into that, however, it's important to understand the 26 different tribes within this clan. There have always been 26 unique tribes belonging to the Seekers of the Sun, even before they moved to Eorzea. However, by some kind of fluke or divine fate, as the Seekers believe, the Eorzean alphabet possesses the same amount of letters as there were clans. That means that after settling in Eorzea, they adopted the common tongue, and with each tribe, they now possess a different letter in the Eorzean alphabet. A Seeker's first name will always tell you the tribe they come from, as the first letter will always belong to that tribe. For instance, the U tribe has been seen living favorably in an oasis by the Sogoli Desert, and the M tribe has found a sanctuary on top of a ridge in Garabanya. Subtracting the first letter will give you the Seeker's given name, which is only ever used by family members and individuals the Seeker sees as family. To use a Seeker's given name without permission is considered extremely disrespectful, and even without permission, one would still be expected to use their full name in the presence of their clan. The Seekers of the Sun live a patriarchal lifestyle, with there only ever being one dominant male. This male's last name is also its title. Called a Nun, the Nun of a tribe is always the leader and the strongest male in said tribe. There is no such thing as a weak Nun, and as such, this ensures that all children born from them are of healthy stock. There have only ever been a few recorded cases of a tribe having more than one Nun, and these instances only occurred with unusually large tribes, and it's unknown if said Nuns continued to coexist peacefully for very long. While the Nun is the leader and possesses his harem of females in the tribe, all other males bear the title and last name of Tia. The only way a Tia can become a Nun is if they defeat the current leader in single combat, ensuring that the new breeding male will produce similar if not stronger children. This is why it's not uncommon to see many male seekers adventuring through the world and trying to hone their skills. Typically they desire to become powerful enough to assume the role of Nun, but sometimes their love for the world and adventure overtakes them and they never return to their clan. A male seeker that does not desire to return to their clan usually still bears the title of Tia out of respect and tradition. While all Seekers of the Sun operate during the day and have the same patriarchal lifestyle, they've all developed different hunting methods and combat forms that usually mix well with their chosen home. If you ever come across one of these tribes, you'll find that typically they are possessed of their single Nun, perhaps a Tia or two that are learning from or challenging the current Nun, and then every other member of the tribe is comprised of warrior women. Yes, despite being patriarchal, Seeker tribes are mostly populated, run, and empowered by the women that live within it, often becoming fierce hunters in their youth and loving mothers once they join the Nun's harem. The women of this clan don't travel nearly as much as a Tia will, but it is not unheard of for women of a Seeker tribe to go out and seek further glory on their own. The reason this system works so well for them is because of the deep idea of family and love. A cruel Nun has always been known to be overthrown by an aspiring Tia, so that the tribe can thrive and enjoy the luxuries that come with a strong familial community. Moving on though, we have the Seekers' night-loving cousins, the Keepers of the Moon. Unlike the Seekers, who are rather spread out across Eorzea, almost all tribes belonging to the Keepers of the Moon live within the Black Shroud, which is an enormous forest surrounding Gridania. Originally, the Keepers were seen as little more than invaders and poachers by the residents of Gridania, and to this day, some tribes of them actually are still considered just that. However, most of the Keeper tribes have reconciled with the city-state and now follow the rules set by the Trappers League and barter with the city while still remaining independent within the forest. Hunting within the forest in the dead of night has lent them to be much more silent and patient than the Seekers of the Sun. This sense of stillness has given them a weaker physical stature compared to the Seekers, but has instead given them greater awareness, insight, and a stronger etheric connection, making some Keepers become exceedingly powerful mages. As different as night is today, the Keepers of the Moon possess a purely matriarchal society, and the title of father is ultimately non-existent. This means that only women ever lead their tribes. While they don't work with the Eorzean alphabet in their names like the Seekers do, a Keeper's first name will always be the name of their mother, while their last name being their given name. Given how matriarchal their system is, it is not uncommon for a male in their tribe to possess a feminine-sounding name, but the suffix of their given name will always denote their birth order. For instance, a name ending in Ra, R-A, means they are the fifth son born to that mother. Although these suffixes can number up to 10, it's rare to see a mother bear more than 2 or 3 sons, making the suffix A, To, and Li the most popular as they represent 1, 2, and 3 respectively. Only the females of the tribe are permitted names that are unaugmented by this system and are entirely unique compared to the males. Most Keeper tribes operate like families led by a single and strong maternal figure, but it is not uncommon for a tribe of Keepers to possess 2 or 3 families, with these mothers becoming the leaders of the entire group. Because of this system, it is not uncommon for the male Keeper to leave and try to find their own purpose in life, especially since most males in their system are only used for breeding stock and aren't ever given roles of power or authority. The Keepers of the Moon are much more spiritual and ceremonial than the Seekers of the Sun. It's typical for them to decorate themselves in war paint before hunting or doing battle for many reasons. To some, the paint is a symbol of their readiness for combat and understanding the blood that is to be spilled. To others, it is a symbol to the gods themselves, telling them that they shall become warriors for the divine should they fall in combat. Given this and other lifestyle choices, the Keepers of the Moon are seen less often than the Seekers of the Sun in most situations. Most women will live with their tribe for their entire life, and maybe become the leading matriarch. And with males being born less frequently, they are sometimes seen as a disposable resource by particularly cruel tribes. Even if you disagree with the lifestyles of either of these clans, it cannot be stated that they are weak by any measure. Their systems have kept them alive and thriving for hundreds of years, and they have silently watched empires rise and fall. Their sense of family and community is not matched by any other race in the world. A Seeker of the Sun, whether male or female, will always be welcomed back into their tribe with open arms when they grow tired of traveling. And the Keeper of the Moon will always have a shelter behind the boughs of the Black Shroud's canopy. While you'll find the biggest groups of Miqo'te living and operating in their respective tribes, they've recently prided themselves in showing the world what they're capable of, lending more and more of them to traveling and making their own families outside of their tribes. So when next you meet a Miqo'te you've never seen before, a look at their eyes and an asking of their name will tell you everything you need to know about them and more.